Hello and welcome back to the Weird and Proud podcast. It's Sarah.
Harmonizing James.
James. Hi everyone. How are my pookies doing?
What up, weirdlings?
We are recording this before we leave for hot Atlanta. We're leaving for Atlanta bright and early tomorrow morning. We're recording this on Thursday evening. And by the time you guys hear this, the show in Atlanta will be over, and hopefully we'll have produced some pretty epic content in Atlanta.
And met more of you.
And met, yes, our Hot Atlanta Pookies. We are so excited. Obviously, you know, again, you won't be able to buy tickets, but the next show is Philly, and we're going to be in Philly in like less than 2 weeks. Yeah, February 20th. So if you're in Philly, come to the Philly show. And we also, too, just announced Dallas in April.
Boom.
Which is very exciting. Love Texas. And we also have some other shows, again, coming soon. You know, just I'm a one-woman show over here. I'm booking things. You know, I'm doing the booking. I'm doing the editing. Anyways, so more coming soon. So excited. Can't wait to see you guys. Get your tickets, SamanthaRamsell.com/events. Anyways, we have an amazing show for you, per usual.
I'm very excited because I know nothing about what we're talking about today so far, so it's going to be totally raw from James's
Well, it's going to be one of those, all the weird things that I have found this week.
I love a good weird dump.
All the weird news that I've found this week that I've been wanting to share with you. And it's weird. We got some weird random stories. Obviously, a lot of stuff I've seen on social media. But I also wanted to before we get into it, I know we've been talking a lot about Severance. I got a couple voice notes. I just feel I don't know, like it just is satisfying when people message me and they're like, I listened to Severance, I'm obsessed. Or I was, you know, me and my whatever watching Severance, we're obsessed, we're into it. And I just can't say enough. We're obsessed. And you know what else? I had seen an interview about Severance that I thought was really interesting.
What did you
see?
The
woman who was from Game of Thrones.
Yes.
You know, who's like the goat lady. I forget what her name is, that actress.
I can't remember.
If you know, you know. If you're watching Severance, she's also in Game of Thrones.
She's also fabulous in the
what
show Wednesday.
Oh yeah,
she plays the headmistress, the med head school.
Yep.
I think it's called the headmistress that they call them at all girl schools.
But she was being interviewed and she was like, why do people, the interviewer was asking, why do you think people are so obsessed with this show?
Okay.
And she's like, I think this is a show that like really has like one of the best levels of suspense for any content that's out there right now. And I think in a day and age where like you can look anything up, you have literally Google ChatGPT, all the AI, you have the answer to everything on your phone. But like this is the one show you cannot get the answer to.
Nope.
And they're just going to keep hanging, and there's always going to be a high level of suspense in the show, which I love. And I was like, that is so true. Like, you know, even this other show that we're watching, we just started watching Paradise on Hulu.
Really good show.
Which is also a good show. But they've like been kind of giving up all the answers.
Have they been more? I don't know.
Have you felt that? I don't know if you guys have watched. This is a new show on Hulu. It just came out. I think they're now like episode 5. It's pretty good. But it's also kind of sci-fi-ish.
You mean they've been leaking
utopia
answers?
Throughout the show? Like they're like telling you everything. You know, he's kind of like, I meant to like tell you that last night when we were watching. I'm like, don't you feel like it would be so much better if they didn't tell us like how they got there? Or, you know, if we just still had this level of suspense being like, what is going on in the show?
So you mean like the behind? I get exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't want to give spoilers for it because it's new and people.
We can talk about another show that we've watched that has the exact suspense you're talking about.
Silo.
That's Silo.
Yeah.
And they do it so well. You still have no idea, like no matter what's happening, there's always that over looming question.
Yeah.
Of
what is really happening?
Why? Right. There's always that deeper level of suspense, and there's so many different angles. And no matter what you do learn, there's still that unanswered, huge, major question.
Yeah. So it's one of those shows that you just are kept in suspense, and it's so fun to talk theories about. You know, we constantly have to pause that show to be like, okay, here's what do you think? I just noticed this. What do you think about this?
I
It's
think that
really fun.
I think that also just from a PR marketing, right? Building suspense or intrigue in the show, they do such a good job on purpose of covering it up and talking about it.
Yeah.
They do so much, and I'm sure other shows are doing it. I just don't pay as much attention. But they do such a good job of getting out there about the fan theories.
Yeah. Well, they have a
They
podcast, like
talk
they're constantly.
and help me here because I don't pay attention to a lot of other shows on what they're doing with but I've never seen a show, even the shows I've loved.
Well, that's
The,
because it's a huge part of the show
yeah,
is the
the fan
suspense and the
theories, yeah.
theories on what the hell is going
And
on.
there's so many little questions that just are
Yeah,
embedded in
it's
there.
really fun to theorize on. So, anyways, not that I have talked about severance enough on this podcast. I feel
But
like I don't like shut up about
hey,
the show,
some
but
people said,
I'm
look,
obsessed. I can't stop.
another thing, just so that the weirdlings know how much we care, like when they do talk. I had called out, I believe, not I believe, it was Maggie. She was so nice. There was, I think it
Oh,
was
at the
Maggie or it
show.
was somebody else. A weirdling had said, we went out, and I think it was Maggie actually said this. We went out and we
Shout out to
watched,
Maggie from the Worcester show.
we watched, we went out and looked at the planets. Like they
Yeah,
went
we
out and did
love.
it.
Yes, I've had a lot of those too.
So
I've had a lot
besides
of those
watching the show,
messages.
I love hearing stuff like all of
Yeah,
it. The
like
severance,
things. Yeah, you guys reminded me to go outside. Look, which they are stunning right now. Get ya, and we only have like about a week
you
left.
got not. It might not even be a week.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah.
It's
Actually, we got
February's.
about 4 or 5 days.
Well, I know when this comes out, we'll be close to over. But,
Yeah.
anyways, just some weird watches for you. I know, there's a lot of good content out there right now. A lot of good content coming. And I'm really on like a scripted show binge right now. I'm really feeling the scripted shows. Normally, I'm a documentary kind of girl, but they've been killing it. Anyways, let's get into the good stuff. So here's what you can look forward to for us chatting about, just like a teaser of some of the weird stories. Okay. Number one, I keep meaning to talk to you about this woman in Pakistan that before we get into it.
I haven't had an update since the last podcast. So
Yeah,
I need my update.
because more has happened. I also needed to talk to you about, oh my God, this is the craziest story. A woman who's really truly living the movie 50 First Dates,
Interesting.
which obviously cinema classic. If you haven't seen 50 First
She
Dates, like,
has
what are you doing?
actual
Amnesia, daily
Yeah.
amnesia. It's a crazy story, and obviously there's a documentary coming out on her too, but we're going to chat a little bit about that. Also, I know your science corner too is a little brain hack. I saw a video about itching and the psychology behind itching, and it's kind of like weird facts about why you itch that I thought was really interesting. Something, a little fun fact for you guys, because itching is weird.
just kind of comes out of nowhere.
That it comes out of nowhere, and all of a sudden you have a sensation, and your body automatically knows what to do, and like it's just weird, The body's crazy.
We're gonna talk about
the
it.
mind is crazy. So we're gonna talk about it, and then you have a science corner,
which we can unveil
which
when
is
we
similar,
get there.
right? Which is kind of similar vibes, but just something that's it's good to know.
I want to keep it a mystery.
Keep it a mystery. And then, of course, we have some weird secrets. We have a good little mix today. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. But you guys are killing it on the weird secrets, so we'll obviously have that at the end of the show. So let's chat about first. We got to get into this woman.
Lay it on
50 First
us.
Dates. Okay. So I found her on TikTok, and she's big on social media. I would think she got found she has a documentary coming out because of like all this stuff she does between TikTok and Instagram. Her name is Nesh Pillay. So NESHPILLAY. She is 34, and she has suffered such a traumatic brain injury that it has resulted in amnesia almost every day.
Okay, so she has no long-term memory.
Right. So she has a fiance, and
Okay.
she will totally forget who he is. She will forget she has a child. She will, and it's kind of interesting. And obviously, I think they're going to go into this in a lot more detail in her documentary coming out. But It'll be like randomly, like it could be just something that triggers her, and then all of a sudden she'll forget where
She'll
she
forget
is. Or it also can be her just waking up from either like a nap, like even sometimes she'll take a nap and wake up
and
and
not know.
and
Yeah.
have no idea what's going on. But and then of course, much like 51st Dates, wakes up in the morning and freaks out. So what apparently happened is when she was 9 years old, apparently she was in a horrible car accident
Oh,
and had a horrible, brain injury. And then she suffered another brain injury. They don't say exactly why, but either like in sports or something, she had another concussion when she was like 17. And then apparently, so in 2022, so 3 years ago, it was like October of 2022, she doesn't really remember that much about this, but she slipped and fell and slammed her head again. And she, again, like doesn't really remember how it happened, but said something to her then boyfriend, was like, "Oh, I just like hit my head and I feel really weird. Like I'm really dizzy and I just don't feel good. I'm gonna go take a nap." So she went, took a nap, and when she woke up, she like it was like a flip had switched. Like she didn't know who her boyfriend was freaking out. Where am I? Didn't know what her name was, and her thing is that she always thinks she's 17 for some reason.
she still does.
She'll go to look in the mirror and she'll scream like bloody murder. She's like, "This is not me. Like I'm." Like what happened? Like I'm 17, like, and she thinks I think it was like 1996 or something when she
Okay.
was, or no, not 96, whatever the math is for whenever, or like sometimes she'll think she's in the 90s. Anyways,
If she's 34, so
yeah, so it was like
she's 2006.
yeah, maybe that's the math. So she has again like a full documentary coming out on February 11th. I
That's
think they said,
this is very interesting.
right? And so, of course, her now fiance
Okay.
is extremely supportive, and every single morning, and because it takes her a while too. Like he'll explain, and then she'll forget again. And like, God bless this man, he will sit with her in the morning, every morning in front of the mirror, because she normally goes and rushes the mirror, like and starts freaking out about her body. And he like walks her through like all these affirmations, like of like what's happened.
Why not do a videotape?
I know, like Adam Sandler
Why
style.
not do? I mean,
Well, I think
it's right in the movie.
I know. They might actually show that in documentary. This is obviously just an article, but like kind of talking about it because I saw on TikTok her showing the trailer
Okay.
of her documentary. I'm like, oh wow, this sounds really interesting. So I started doing some doing some Google. A lot of this
Gotcha.
is like New York Post and like, kind of Daily Mail articles, but it's, it is kind of a crazy story. And now she has a child. And this is like this whole new challenge, obviously, because she will wake up and be like, who's this kid?
Yeah, she'll have no idea.
Yeah. She'll be like, what kid is that? Like it's, and obviously it's hard for the kid to understand. The kid's young to be like, why does my mom, what is happening to my mom? And, but her family's super supportive. Like apparently she's still, I think it's living, like they live with her parents still to help with
Probably
raise the
smart.
kid. Right.
She would at least know where her parents are.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of times it's the parents that she, kind of recognizes first. But she says she only retains about 20% of new memories from now moving forward.
Okay.
So, and a lot of the times, like she said, it'll like it has to trigger like even people she says from her past, from like high school or college, it's like they'll run into her, like they'll message her and be like, hey, do you remember me? And she'll see them and be like, I don't really remember you. And then she'll be like, maybe like a day later or hours later, I'll have a memory of them. Be like, oh, I do remember who that is. Like,
got it.
Randomly, they trigger at different times. And she says they haven't, there's no like cure for it.
Well,
or
did they say what they think? What
I
damage
keep
was
saying
caused?
TBI,
Okay.
traumatic brain injury.
So, did they say like?
But they just said, and it was interesting too. And they're going to talk about this in the documentary. Even when her fiance or her boyfriend fiance proposed, they had to like work on like with a lawyer and a judge to try to get it legal because they were like, she can't legally consent to it because she keeps forgetting
Yeah.
or,
Injury. Yeah.
from the
There's a
injury.
lot of outside societal things that would be completely different for that condition.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine? So, yeah, I don't know if they actually ever give like a exact diagnosis, but of course she says too, like when it first happened, also she like everyone thought she was insane.
Yeah, of course.
Like she was like it took months and months for a doctor to finally be like, no, this is what's going on. It's just like an amnesia. Like I don't even think
Well, what it
it's coming on Amazon Prime too, by the way. It's gonna be Amazon Prime February 11th. So I will definitely be watching and we'll report back.
this
But
needs to be fact checked, and I love neurology courses, and I took
yeah,
a lot of biopsych courses.
yep.
Now, I wish I should have looked this up. I guess we should have. I'm glad we didn't talk about it, but I could have done that. Science Corner is talking about how memories are transferred from short-term memories or experiences
That
into long-term
is
memories.
a fascinating thing.
So, again, there is a part of the brain that if it's like with anything, if you damage part of the brain, right, that
Right.
part can maybe not work anymore.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So whatever the fall or whatever ended up triggering this,
Yep.
that the part of the brain that helps convert short-term into long-term memory, which happens a lot during sleep.
Yep. Yep.
So if when she's going to sleep, that part of the brain that normally converts, that's my really rudimentary theory,
Yeah.
is the fact that when she sleeps, she wakes up with kind of a clean slate would show that
Something's happening in your sleep.
that the short-term memory bank gets emptied out, then it's not moving into the long-term memory bank.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a really archaic way of explaining it, but that seems to be what's kind of going on. Yeah.
Yeah. It is a fascinating story. I cannot wait to see this documentary.
And if you think about it, like you said, just think about your typical day. How many times during a day do you just have a memory that just pops up out of nowhere for no reason whatsoever?
Well, that is always something I find so interesting, or even like things from when you're so young. And it's like, I have a memory that'll be clear as day.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere, or just like a memory that I'm like, why do I remember that specific? And it could be something just super basic.
We'll have to talk about.
And it might be a science corner.
That absolutely needs to be. I think that stuff is fascinating
on memories.
too. I can't remember a lot of the technical terms. I'm a little out of. I haven't looked at that stuff in a little while. We'll get the terminology down. We'll talk more about it. It's like it is long-term memory. Oh boy, I'm going to think of it partway through the podcast and scream it out, of course.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
It's like not, God, like it's actually a pretty simple phrase, but I can't think of it for the life of me. It's like long-term memory, recollection, recall. I think recall might be it. So coming up with a memory that's stored in there that you're just not thinking of, right? Like spontaneous recall or something like that.
And like, isn't there like a technology too? Like I thought there had been like some sort of new brain technology where I think maybe this is like, I saw this in a movie and then I thought this was real, but if you have like suppressed memories, there is a way by, some sort of psychology or technology that you can get old memories back.
You're talking about Inception?
Maybe.
That's okay.
Or you know what else?
No,
I was thinking?
there is some stuff. Like, there is some possibilities.
It's like, I can't remember. There's another movie that was something like that. It was like they saw a murder, and it was like, what was the license plate number? And they're like, I can't remember. And then they're like, oh, there's like, new technology that we can get your brain to remember. There's all kinds of
stuff like, I mean, the old standard was that the olfactory smell, the olfactory sense is the strongest sense tied to memory. And if you bring emotional and sensical things into it, you can help make the memory clear, right? They use it in memory recall for crimes they have before. And I think that some of that stuff is going away because a lot of it's proven to be, you can coerce too much of it. I don't know actually where they're at with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you really want to think of something, you just have to like help all those stimulating factors, right?
Yeah.
There's an example of it in what's called method of loci or location learning, that they did find that when you took a test, if you studied for a test and took the test in like the same desk in the same room,
totally,
just those subconscious things around you help your memory recall. That's the memory recall.
I
Better.
remember that
Man.
whenever we would take a test in a classroom, they would be like, make sure, wherever you've been learning or studying
Sit
for
in
it,
the
you
same
sit in the
one.
same
You
place.
should. Yeah.
And that's the same why when I like to get to shows early to go on the stage and kind of like mentally go through my set so I can
recall. You want to be prepared for new areas. Yeah.
Fascinating stuff. Someone had commented, they're like, is this like a science podcast now? I was like, pretty much. Science is everywhere. If you think about it, it's all science, really. If you think about it,
More so, the earth is everywhere, and science is a thing that we use to answer some questions, look at some questions deeper.
Exactly. Right. Period. He said what he said. Okay. Anyways, transitioning. Update on the Pakistan woman. Have you heard anything? Like,
I
have you
haven't looked
seen
up
it?
a thing since you did that.
I wasn't sure if you had heard anything about it. If you guys have not seen this woman now, you have to watch these videos. And a lot of people, are like, okay, is this woman, like embarrassed, like, do the people of Pakistan want her there? Like, are we like promoting this woman, even though the Pakistan people are like really offended by her? But apparently, like, the Pakistan people, it's been great press.
They like
for
it.
years.
Good.
And they've been holding press conferences with this woman. And again, if you missed it last episode, I talked a little bit about it. I had like just started to see stuff on this. But this woman, she's an American woman. I think she's from Queens or Brooklyn. She met a man online, and not even a man. Turns out he was 19.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you said he was like married and stuff.
She was married and she has kids, but he was 19.
Okay.
I thought that too, but actually what happened is they met online. She met this 19-year-old kid online, says, I'm going to come and be with you. We're going to get married. She shows up and he's living at home with his family.
Okay.
And his family is like, he's 19. And she's like, I mean, she's got to be in her 40s.
Okay.
And it's just and if
Little
there have been
catfish. It's a
rumors,
catfishing
it's a little bit of a catfish situation, and there are rumors, I don't know how true this is, but apparently like her son has come out and says that she does suffer from like some bipolar, some mental health issues. So it's one of those things where it's like, it would be really sad if this is, a mental health crisis, but she talks like she really wants to be like the next president. She wants to run for office of Pakistan, and she wants like make Pakistan great again.
Let's see how this thing plays out. Very interesting.
So far, it's been like harmless.
Yeah.
Like the Pakistan people think it's funny. Obviously, we're getting a kick out of it. She's, just asking for money, and they're like kind of humoring her in a way. So if you haven't seen it, it is pretty funny. We'll see what happens next. But a lot of people are like, her visa has expired. So like they could kick her out at any minute. But they haven't because I think part of them are like, this is great press.
This is too much. That's good.
It's crazy.
This is good.
Okay, one more fun fact for you. And I saw this, and again, talking about weird things our brain does. Scratching an itch.
I like it.
Okay. And I can't remember. I don't think we've talked about this before.
No, I don't think we have.
And you know how like scratching an itch can feel so good?
Yep.
But a lot of people say, don't scratch that. Like I've always, and I think a lot of the times too, oh my God, talking about itching
makes you itchy.
Is making me itchy.
Okay.
What is that brain? What's in the brain there? And that's because when you do like rub a mild pain sensation, anything that distracts from that pain of the itch, which is funny. It is funny to think about it as pain, but it releases serotonin.
It's pain can be just interpreted as, excuse me, like it's a disruption in the nervous system, right?
Right. And of course, it kind of like, depending on what type of allergic reaction if it's an allergic reaction, if it's a bad itch, if it's a bite, versus like being actually sick with something, obviously there's a difference. But they had studied mice, and, of course, sad. RIP. Don't study the mice. Poor micey. But they were studying mice and seeing, what would happen if they didn't allow them to scratch versus if they allowed them to
Oh
scratch.
no.
No, this is, thank God, nothing too sad or scary in this story. But they said the mice that were allowed to scratch their rash, their ears became swollen. They were allowed. Yeah, that were allowed to scratch their rash. Their ears became swollen and filled with neutrophils, which is a white blood
White
cell
blood cells. Yep.
to fight the infection. The mice that couldn't scratch had much less inflammation and swelling, confirming that scratching further aggregates the skin. So it's kind of like, I mean, obviously that is kind of like the old wives' tale of like, don't scratch it because it's going to that it's going
You'll
to
keep
make it worse.
scratching it.
Right.
Yep.
And especially too, like if you have a like a scab, it's gonna just bleed, you obviously don't want it to bleed over. But they said that when you do scratch, there's also a substance called substance P, which releases chemicals that include histamine, which is what causes the swelling.
Mhm.
And which is why, it can get,
Start to get red.
right.
Yep.
But it's, so it's like, it's good. I just thought that was interesting. It's good like for your mental because you do get that serotonin rush.
But the physical side,
right. But
it's
the
not
physical side,
necessarily the most efficient way to heal that area.
So, even though of course it feels good to scratch that itch, it's
kind of like
really
people
is.
that pick at scabs. You're not helping the situation.
Well, that's, yeah, and that's always this, situation when they're really like, don't itch that. But, even though it feels so good to scratch an itch, and there are times when it's like, I can't think of anything else other than getting my itch scratched.
It's
Especially
pretty
when it's on your
distracting.
back and you can't reach it. Like, it is funny. Like, yeah, like it almost like feels like a pain.
Yeah.
But it's fun, but anyways, so I thought it was interesting. So don't scratch your itches, even though it is.
But there's other like pleasurable, non-threatening pains that people do like. Hot sauce. Capsaicin causes pain.
Right. That is a funny thing,
But
too.
how much do we love buffalo wings?
Right. Why do we do that? We love.
It's delicious. And capsaicin can also ultimately become an anti-inflammatory. We can deal with that another time.
Yep.
But like that, just think about it, right? That's also kind of a pain, but it's good, right?
Yep.
Ticklish areas, disruption of the nervous system. Some people have it different. It's kind of it's funny to be tickled. You laugh and it can be enjoyable, right? But it also is a complete disruption in what's going on in your day.
Tickling is the craziest sensation.
Yeah.
That is like, I'm super ticklish. That's why a lot of people make fun of me when I don't get a pedicure. But a lot of the times is because I'm so ticklish on my feet, and I'll laugh or I'll kick the woman in the face.
It's like it's like
because
a reflex.
it like makes me like want to punch someone.
Look, similar-ish things. We could look to see how more of these are related.
Yep.
Yours seems to have to do with the parasympathetic nervous system, the unconditioned, the conditioned responses, right? The subconscious.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's just interesting. The mind is so crazy.
We are very much a science podcast today.
I know. I was like, it is very sciencey.
Is this weird? I think we're still a lot of this weird though.
Well, that's what's like. It's a lot of the weirdness is in the science field.
Maybe it's my fault because I do tend to look through the lens of how something applies to science, or like with the lady in Pakistan, human behavior, right? Maybe I should look at it through a weird lens more.
Well, I mean, what is a weird lens,
I don't know.
What is a weird lens?
Oh,
something to think about. Anyways, just a fun fact I thought I would share with the class, and I saw that and I was like, oh, so it's, because itching, again, interesting, weird sensation, one of those weird things that you don't think about.
We'll have to cover tickling and some of the other things one of these times.
Tickling pisses me off. Did you see that there was that documentary that was like, I forget what it's called. I think it was called Tickled. And it's like a kink that some people have that they love watching people being tickled or tickling someone.
We started trying to watch that, but you got uncomfortable watching it. No, I remember.
I can't watch that shit.
You were a little uncomfortable watching people.
No, because it is. It's like that would be torture for me. That would be torture. Anyways, James, transitioning to more science. But like, don't you feel like I love the idea that like when you do listen to this podcast, there maybe are some little tidbits that you take from it on top of hearing some weird news.
And maybe you look at things slightly differently.
And you look at things slightly differently, and you ask more questions, get more curious. Like, yeah, like why do we itch? Yeah, why do we do certain things?
Speaking of,
Never stop asking questions.
Oh
my God, yes,
the
the song.
Science Corner. Hope you stay and play.
Hey.
It's the Science Corner. It can change your day.
Woo!
Science is fun questions made by you and me. Let's start the Science Corner with curiosity.
So good.
Love my Science Corner song. I really do.
You're so
Very
gorgeous.
much. All right. So hopefully this one, I tried to pick a more weird Science Corner than a true science corner.
Right.
And when I saw this, being from Wisconsin,
yep,
I want to talk about what now I will consider potentially. I have a new favorite drug.
Okay, we're talking about drugs.
And
Thank
you know
God.
what? This might be your favorite drug.
Okay. What is it?
Cheese.
Cheese.
So since we've been talking about tickling and itching.
Yeah, weird.
And memory,
yeah,
storage and recall,
yeah,
right? Cheese triggers the same part of the brain as hard drugs, say scientists at the University of Michigan.
I believe it.
If you regularly find yourself hovering around the cheese board at Christmas dinner table, guilty. Helping yourself to seconds or third or ninths. Why would I stop at thirds? There may be a scientific explanation for why you're unable to tear yourself away. They've revealed that cheese contains a chemical found in addictive drugs. Using the Yale Food Addiction Scale, designed to measure a person's cravings, the study found that cheese is particularly moreish because it contains casein, which I find interesting. The chemical, which is found in all dairy products, casein is a protein. Yeah. Actually, it's very important.
Didn't you just say that was in hot sauce too?
Capsaicin. Different.
Oh, okay. I was just like, wait.
Casein is it's a type of protein. Okay. Weirdly enough, that's why I love cottage cheese. Cottage cheese is a very high level of casein. Okay. It's a weird old school weightlifting thing. Yep. You eat cottage cheese at night because whey protein, so a lot of people know whey protein powder. Yeah. Those powders you have some casein in it. Oh. Whey protein absorbs very, very quickly. Whey protein is something, if you're trying to be like really timing about it, I'm not dedicated enough anymore to like worry about the exact timing, but whey protein is something you would want to take when it's really fast absorbing, like before a workout. Yep. Casein protein is very slow releasing, so it's really good at night when you're sleeping, so your muscles, while they're repairing, have more protein available to them.
Interesting.
All right, so that's why cheese, and that's why I love my cottage cheese.
But are there certain types of cheese, or is this any types of cheese?
Pretty much any. Some cheeses might have more casein, but pretty much any type of cheese is cheese, right? Right. It's a leftover product of milk, right? And casein is going to be in there, right?
Cheese curds?
Absolutely. Lots in cheese curds, and you know how much I love my cheese curds.
Hell yeah.
The chemical, which is found in all dairy products, can trigger the brain's opioid receptors, producing a feeling of euphoria linked to those with hard drug addiction. 500 students were asked to complete a questionnaire to identify food cravings. As part of the study, with pizza topping the list for the most addictive food of all, right? You can also look at something, some of you have probably heard of it. It's called the bliss point, right? Okay. It's this point in the brain. They've actually found this spot in the brain. McDonald's French fries are one of the best examples of it. They know it. And yes, they know when food becomes addictive. And weirdly enough, that's okay, right?
Yeah.
But it's this combination of salt, savory, and like kind of a fat, right? Fat is the savory. Yep. Salt, savory, crunchy, and sweet. Now, the sweet in French fries would be a fried potato. How good is a fried potato of any kind?
Yeah, no,
that's the caramelized starch from the potato that becomes the sweet factor. Then you put salt on it. Name a potato dish that doesn't have a lot of salt on it. You got to have salt on a potato. Right. So those are the things that cause this bliss point.
Interesting. That makes sense. Yeah, because cheese is kind of all those things. It's the salty, it's the savory, it can be a little sweet. It's got all those.
So the reason why cheese is in the cheese making process. Oh, and then of course when you're online, all the ads pop up and skip something.
Yeah, it's so
So
annoying.
part of the reason why cheese, right, is casein in milk. It's not as much, but to make 1 pound of cheese requires about 10 pounds of milk. With the casein is what coagulates the
Yep.
milk fats and making them help to make the cheese, right?
Yep.
So that's why you got such an influx of that coming in, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Gotta have more cheese.
And guess what?
What?
I ain't ever given that drug up. No,
No.
I will not be giving cheese up ever.
No, or any dairy. I had like tried to like limit my cheese when I was doing like really crazy.
Yeah.
But that's like, yeah, maybe like I was, it was a little easier to lose a little, but who
I am
cares? I was way less happy than I am with cheese.
and well, everything can be taken too extreme, right? I very much love eating that raw cheddar that I get all the time. I love the raw cheeses.
Well,
I
I'm a
really
cheddar
do.
girl.
And you're a cheddar girl, so that's why I always have the raw cheddar. I really
love
do.
a raw cheddar.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can't wait for when we go to Italy because there's nothing like an Italian parm. Like I think that would be my second runner up is like real.
I would have been shocked. I almost maybe would have got that wrong. I know.
What are your top 3 cheeses?
If it was a couples quiz, I would have said cheddar's your favorite, parmesan's your second, and stracciatella's your third.
Yeah, because stracciatella is
A form of
not one of the
mozzarella.
yeah, it's a form of mozzarella, and it's amazing how little people know about stracciatella. If you've been to Italy, or you've been to like a real Italian sandwich shop that has the real Italian goods.
The real stracciatella, yeah.
It's like a mix of like burrata and cream cheese.
It's so creamy.
The best. Seriously,
cream
the best
cheese is
ever.
your secret fourth favorite cheese, I would say.
Is cream cheese technically like?
I mean, it's a cheese product. You can make actually healthier versions of cream cheese. Take sour cream, put it in cheesecloth, just let all the liquid drain out of it, and you've got like a kind of healthy-ish version of cream cheese. It's kind of a sour cream.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make Greek yogurt out of regular yogurt. Just put regular yogurt in cheesecloth, drain out. All Greek yogurt has less moisture. It's a more concentrated version of yogurt.
Yeah.
So
yeah. What are your 3 top cheeses?
It's impossible for me to answer.
But if you had to.
I love cheese so much.
I know.
You know what, honestly, is going to sound weird, and it could be all different flavors of cheese, but my good old school, those bags of Wisconsin cheese curds that I get.
Whenever James comes back from Wisconsin,
the
huge
real
ass bag.
Ellsworth Creamery. Shout out. Send me cheese.
Ellsworth
Creamery.
Cheese.
Fantastic. Yeah, I love old Wisconsin cheese curds. Just do.
Old Wisconsin cheese curds.
Now,
if you guys haven't had real Wisconsin cheese curds, like
it is different.
You're missing it. You really need to there's a special like quality that these Wisconsin cheese
I'll give
curds
the so here's what you want to do. If you want to have a good German Wisconsin day, go to shout out Louis Finer Meats, Louis Minch.
Yeah, can you order those online?
Yeah, that's the ones I had sent to your desk.
Yeah, you guys, in memory of James, not that he's dying.
Go, and this is not they're not paying us anything for this, but I will always talk about it. It's from my hometown of Cumberland, Wisconsin. Louis Finer Meats. Look up Louis Finer Meats, Cumberland, Wisconsin. You'll find it very easily. A national award-winning meats.
They ship with like Gold Belly or like one of those.
Unbelievable stuff.
Unbelievable.
My recommendation is to look. I think they still do ship their brats. I think they have 67 or over 70 flavors of bratwurst.
Wow.
Different bratwurst right now. Get some bratwurst. Get yourself some Wisconsin cheese curds. Have a care pack sent home. Trust me, it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, you guys. All right. Well, I feel good though, knowing that
because you got to get the Packer brats. It's got cheddar cheese and sauerkraut mixed in the bratwurst.
Wow. Why don't we need to order some more to have
I'll get
around
some
that.
more of those, yeah.
We should. Put a big order. Anyways, cheese for life. It's cheese and bread. Like those are two things when people are like doing some of the Whole30 or some of those where they take out bread and they take out cheese.
Ask me what my favorite food is. I think you know my answer.
Bread, cheese, sandwich.
Sandwiches.
Cheese,
sandwiches. My favorite food
That's
is
my
sandwiches.
favorite food.
Sandwiches.
I said that first.
Sandwiches are the bomb.
Copycat.
I'm older than you. I said it first. Sandwiches are the best things ever.
Great stuff.
That's why we love a coochie board so much, because
Oh my
it's
God.
you just endless combinations of mini sandwiches you make for yourself.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Okay. Transitioning to secret. Whoa, I like jumped ranges. I like started high
you
and
did
that
that.
fell
That
over.
did- that had kind of a playful little salsa feel in it. Yeah.
Secret.
Now I itch all over my body.
I know, I really am like kind of itchy, by the way.
Damn it.
Same thing when you talk about yawning, which don't say it.
You just did.
Don't say it. Don't yawn. Say it. No. Yes. No.
Can't stop thinking about cheese either. I'm gonna go get some cheese after
I know I'm
this.
starving.
Go get some cheese.
Cheese. Okay. So, as a reminder,
You know what we have
it's that special time.
You know what we have in the fridge?
What?
We have that shredded taco meat chicken that I made, and we have the barbecue sauce from the other night that we made.
That's crazy, James.
So no, here's what I'm gonna get at. We're gonna do like a chopped barbecue chicken and cheese sandwich.
Whoa. I know it's leftover night. Oh, by the way, would you guys like, we were throwing around some ideas, because obviously we love though, James. We love doing, people always want more James. If we did some cooking videos.
I do love cooking.
James loves to cook. I love to cook. We love food. Like, we're like, why don't we do more food stuff? We should do like leftovers, like what's in the fridge, like almost like a chopped, like, okay, with what we have in the fridge, let's make.
And we're asking you, like, we could go on Sam's Instagram, which has how many 100,000 followers now?
Just like none, 0, 2.
We'd rather have the weirdlings help us with this new venture.
Weirdlings.
We'd love to hear
life.
what you have to say about what kind of food and or cooking content would you like.
Yeah, because James like, you should put out and see what they want. I'm like, no one knows us like the weirdlings.
That's where you go. That's where we go for the real answers.
Yeah. So like, would you guys want to see some cooking stuff? Like, we'd maybe turn them into reels, but the idea would be, maybe doing like some longer stuff like the YouTubes. Because I was doing vlogs for a little bit. Like, I don't know, like vlogs. It's like, I want to jazz it up, spice things up a little bit. Let us know what you think.
All right. Sorry to interrupt secrets.
Yeah. Way to interrupt. Okay, it is that time, you guys. When you call in, let us know something weird you've done, a weird story, a weird fact about you. We've thrown out some prompts lately of like weird stuff you've seen on people's phones, weird jobs. We always get some good weird dating stories or, a good poop story, which got a little mix up today. So if you want to call in and tell us a weird secret, weird fact about you, you can call in too.
SpeakPipe
at speakpipe.com/weird-and-proud-pod. Again, speakpipe.com/weird-and-proud-pod. And that'll be in the description too of this podcast. It's also on our Instagram. Make sure you're following the Instagram Weird and Proud Pod. You'll see it as a link there. Always anonymous, of course. And I believe like you can now leave up to 2 minutes, which don't get crazy. But I just saw like someone had sent in over a 2-minute.
That's awesome.
Voicemail. So
way to go, SpeakPipe.
SpeakPipe, always, just taking it to the next level. Okay, James, are you ready for the first secret?
Prepared.
All right, here we go.
Hi, Sam and James. So it wasn't necessarily a job that was weird, but it was something weird that I got paid for. I was pregnant and with, whoops, baby, and the father decided to not be involved. And I was feeling a little bit down on myself, not feeling great. And I just posted, I like did my hair and I had to look good, feel good, and somebody slid in the DMs and said, how much? And I was like, what? They wanted pictures just in my underwear of me pregnant. And they paid me $300 of just me in my bra and underwear pregnant. So that was pretty weird. But at the same time, I had no boyfriend and was like, hell yeah, I just made $300 from doing nothing. So that was it. Love ya. Love your show.
Good for you, girl.
Put that in the college fund. Love it.
Put it in the college fund.
That's brilliant.
Also,
I love
just
this
like
story.
in your bra and underwear, like, okay, that's not that $300.
And if You know me, I always have annoying recommendations. Can I make my recommendation?
Yes,
It's
please.
1,000 minimum. You're undervaluing
You're
yourself.
undervaluing.
Get $1,000 minimum on something like that.
Well, and it is so funny that like being pregnant too, like I feel like it is like a thing. Like a lot of guys, like it must be some sort of psychological thing too, where like men
That's a much
are attracted
of
to
all
that.
the kinks we've talked about on here. I think that the pregnant kink for some guys is a much softer version.
Yeah.
Well, it's still creepy and a little like,
Well, especially when
that's a
it's not
child.
your
and
baby,
and
right?
really when it's not like, I get it. I'm not trying to like get canceled here. That kink to me is not as, and I don't have that kink at all, but that kink to me is not as weird
Are you sure?
as some of the other ones we talk about.
Yeah,
Does
no,
that
no,
make
no, no,
sense?
no. They're not like obsessed with like having sex with cement or like
Yes,
blood.
it seems so much. It's much. It seems to me to be more realistic that a guy would be attracted to a pregnant woman than some dude who wants to bang a watermelon, right? Like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
That's way weirder. Food
Yeah.
kinks are to me are even weirder than
Yeah,
like
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
Right. Well, yeah, and it's weird to think though if it's like not your kid, it might be a little weird.
That's still
It's a
weird.
little weird, but you know, like yeah, I feel like that's a part of like human behavior that like the
But as long as I love that you took advantage of that. Good for you.
yeah, and you took advantage of that and you made $300. That's pretty good money for a picture.
Hell yeah.
But like you're saying, I feel like you should, you know, really upcharge if you're still pregnant. You know, if you're still out there looking for an extra buck. But that was a gorgeous secret. Yeah, I love all those. That's the first one. We've gotten a lot of weird kinks over the years or over whatever, however long we're doing this. And that's the first pregnant woman.
That's I think
but
it is.
We love to see it. And yeah, pregnant women are amazing. Like that's crazy what you're doing. Like you literally have a human. I will never get over that. There's a human growing inside.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay. Are you ready for the next one? This one's a good little
Prepared
fecal story. Here we go.
I know you guys love a good toilet clogging story, so here's mine. A couple of years ago, when me and my now husband, then new boyfriend, started dating, we would go to Airbnbs to hook up because we were both living with our parents at the time and we didn't feel comfortable meeting the parents yet. So, anyways, he rented us an RV Airbnb, something a little different, something that we thought would be super fun and cute, you know. So, of course, in the manual, because all the Airbnbs have so many rules, it said, do not flush toilet paper down the toilet. I'm like, okay, literally not a problem, whatever. I'm not even gonna poop there. Like, we're literally only staying there for the night just to, bang it out and then go home the next day, And so as soon as we get there, I pee, I flush the toilet, no toilet paper, and this toilet starts freaking overflowing like crazy, literally flooding this whole RV. It wouldn't stop overflowing, and I'm like, oh my god. So I tell, obviously my boyfriend is like, what's going on in there? I go out. We have to evacuate the RV because it's a small little RV and a lot of toilet water all over the place, and there's carpet on the floor too, which is just disgusting. So we tell the owner through the Airbnb app. He comes over, plunges the toilet, starts yelling at me for shitting in the toilet and flushing paper in it, which did not happen. I did not poop. I didn't even use paper to pee, and so freaking embarrassing. Anyways, it happens. So he cleans it up. He mops what he can up. The fucking rug is still saturated. It's just disgusting. Totally killed the mood. But, we still stayed there. I don't know why, but we did. I guess we were desperate. So we still stayed there, and it happened again. We woke up and put our feet on the ground, and we were in like ankle deep poop water. And it wasn't any of our poop. It was poop that was already in there. Okay. Bye. Love you guys.
I hear a little poop monster crying in the background. There's a little poop monster crying in the background there.
That honestly, there's nothing worse than when a toilet clogs.
Oh,
but there's nothing worse than like you not pooping and then the toilet clogging.
That's if it's like it's your fault, you can at least own up to the damn thing.
Right. Like at least you're like, oh shit, like
I made a
that's
mistake.
me. You
Yeah.
know, like
Kind of feel proud when I do it. If I clog a toilet, it's like, oh yeah.
Jesus. But for like, you know, especially if the Airbnb, it was an Airbnb, it was a rental, and they're blaming you and you didn't do that, then it's like, okay.
I believe her too. She sounds pretty
Yeah, I believe
sincere.
we believe you. We believe you. We stand behind you.
Could the now husband boyfriend have
Maybe
done
he
it?
did it.
Did he? I don't know. It sounds almost more plausible that the people before.
Yeah,
might
and
have
then
done
it is just really sensitive. It's one of those things that, you know,
Yep.
one wrong flush and you're in trouble.
And the pipes in an RV, especially, it sounds like it was a smaller version.
Right.
They aren't going to be as big as household pipes.
No. And then to wake up and put your feet in someone else's poopy water.
Sounds fun.
That is painful. That's
but the
painful.
fact that they survived that together is probably a really good indicator of why they ended up getting married.
Totally. I was going to say that is a bonding experience, and that's something that can either make or break your relationship.
Sounds like a love story to me.
And yeah, it's kind of beautiful. Now we hear your love child crying in the background.
Probably pooping.
Did you conceive in the RV poopy trailer? Did you tell the little baby, guess where we had you in the poopy water? Poopy water. But gorgeous. Thank God. I don't think we've ever had I lied. Of course we have. The great clog of 20. When was that? 2019?
Which is when I met Lulinelli, yeah.
Yeah, the great clog. Before we got a bunch of plumbing done in our house.
Before COVID.
And this was, it was like 2019.
Yep.
And before I don't think we had gotten the bathroom done yet.
Nope.
Some old pipes. And we don't even know what happened, but
oh, I do.
Some girl put a tampon. Yeah. The water going down in our kitchen, coming down from the ceiling. James basically naked in the bathroom.
During we were having a party. There were people here.
It was actually I can't remember. It wasn't a housewarming.
No, we were just having a barbecue.
So
fortunately, it was nice. Everybody was outside.
Yeah, thank God. But then no one had anywhere to pee. Like people had to pee.
We were peeing on the side of the house. And
it was clogged. And we have one bathroom in our house, so it's like if that toilet's clogged.
I had one little snake, but I did everything I could with that to get that, and it didn't work.
And it would not work. And it wasn't even and that was like a weekend. It was like a Saturday.
Yep. And
I think they finally came on Monday.
We couldn't get somebody to come till Monday.
So for 2 days we had no bathroom. That was hell. We had to shit in our own yard. We had to shit and then pick up our
True story.
poop like a friggin' dog.
True story.
Our neighbors literally must just have stories for days. They must be like, wait,
what is wrong with these
yeah,
people?
You'll never believe what they're doing now.
Then we get into water fights with their kids.
And then we get into water fights with their kids. Exactly. Anyways, let us know. Do you guys have any good clog stories? Anything that really, I always think too of most people have another bathroom. But yeah, if you're having a bunch of people over, you're having a big party, toilet clogs, that's worst case. Everyone was drinking, so it's you can't just go.
And everybody's got to pee,
right? And everyone's been drinking constantly, so it's rough.
Next time we'll just rent a porta potty.
Next time we'll just seriously.
Yeah,
we basically just had our own porta potty.
Have somebody just
behind a bush.
Drop off porta potty.
Okay. Are you ready for the next secret?
Prepared.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, Sam and James, hosts of my favorite podcast in the world. I got a story about this job I used to have, one of the many odd jobs that I've had in my life. I was working as a seasonal employee at the J. Crew warehouse, which is in my hometown. Super weird. I was picking orders, putting them on the conveyor belt type of thing, whatever. And I had a coworker who was quite interesting. she made me laugh. It was a really just boring ass job. And so her and I became friends. And she had told me that her and her partner were trying to get pregnant. Her partner was a lady also. And she was trying to like figure out how to get a baby in her. And one day she comes up to me and she's like, "We're going to get pregnant tonight." I was like, "What you mean, girl?" Huh? And she whips out a Ziploc bag out of her pants, and in the bag was a bottle, like an old pill bottle, one of the orange pill bottles, and there was like a bunch of sperm in there, like fresh cum. Yeah. So I was just like, okay, how does that work? And she was just like, well, we've done this before and it hasn't worked, but we just, we take like a syringe of it and shoot it up our pussy. And that's the story of that. So you never know when someone's gonna like whip out a fresh hot load while you're at work. Thanks. Hope you like that one.
Turkey baster, baby.
Turkey. Well, I also like, would think, and maybe that's why she had it in her pants, like to keep it warm. I remember like hearing people doing that because obviously you can't let it go bad. But why you would have it at work? Like, wouldn't you? That's the part that confused me.
I have the answer.
What? Someone at work?
Probably one of the coworkers picked a guy at work, said, "Here, I'll pay you. Go jerk off in this thing." That's my guess. That's the first thing that popped in my head.
Maybe. Yeah, because it's like, how the hell did she get
Like,
that?
what if there's a guy there that, like, they're like, well, this guy at work, he seems, he's nice, he's this, like, right? Like, just kind of matching what they would want their potential baby to be like. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That must be a weird thing, though, that like your coworker then could be like your daddy.
It's the first thing that popped into my head.
Yeah.
Or, if this sounds like it's very much a union potential type job, maybe they get a long lunch break. Maybe there was somebody she went to meet, right? Same sort of thing.
Still,
Finds
I think
a guy.
you have like an hour. Maybe that's just also in the movies. And like, they always like joke that you need to get it, quickly shooting up there.
Now, I'll need to look this one up.
I don't know.
I came across a weird story and I didn't vet it, so I didn't want to talk about it. But I heard about a couple that was in jail.
Okay.
And again, there's, men's and women's side, but all facilities have ventilation.
Oh, and he passed sperm to her.
Yeah. Using like bed sheets. Like, they
that makes
put
sense.
a sheet through.
But it's like fresh. It's literally from,
pulled it over and they somehow got pregnant. I don't know how true that is, but I remember seeing that too. So I thought I'd bring it up. But yeah,
but that's quick.
Life's gonna find a way. But you got to remember, they also freeze sperm, and then it still works.
Yeah. I don't know. If there's any IVF, where's the IVF people at? They'll know. But that is pretty wild. That's gonna be something crazy to see it work. It's gonna be kind of jarring.
That's such a good work. That's such a good work story.
Like someone just randomly.
Sorry, should have applauded her. Love the pacing. Love the slow pace of the telling.
Yeah,
a lot of building.
A lot of suspense.
Great job.
Talk about suspense.
Well done.
Building the suspense. I think I heard a dog in that background too.
Love it, doggy.
Anyways, so great secrets today. Great little mix of weird shit.
I like it when you go through multiple stories. I like it when you have I know that's sometimes maybe harder because you got to find a bunch of stuff. But I like the little
a lot of them are
snippets.
short. Some of them are just like, oh, fun fact, like the itching thing. I was like, oh, that'll be fun. James might, probably knows about that. And it's like, oh, I'll store that away. So storing like stuff that I find rather than like a big story. I don't know. I like mixing it up. Hopefully you guys like it too. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. But as a reminder, if you want to send us in a weird secret, something weird you've done, weird dating, the weird poop, weird clog.
I think
got a weird clog.
I think there's more weird things you've seen on someone else's cell phone stories out there.
I do have a couple of those. I was gonna maybe play one of those, but
keep sending
we're getting
them.
it.
We'll get to there, but I do like those.
We do have a couple of those in there too.
Weird things you've seen on other cell phones.
Yeah. Colin, 2.
Speak pipe.
speakpipe.com/weird and proud pod. Again, speakpipe.com/weird and proud pod. And I think, yeah, you can leave to a minute. Though that last story was 2 minutes too. So
Beautiful.
2 minutes, always anonymous. James, anything else you want to say? Go Packers. What's your Super Bowl prediction? Who do you think is going to win? Because when this comes out, we'll have known. You have a prediction?
I'm going to say it's really hard to say this, and I know I shouldn't.
Chiefs.
No, I think the Eagles.
Really?
Here's how the Super Bowl will go.
Oh, here we go.
You played a lot of tennis. Your dad was a pro tennis player, right?
It's gonna go back and forth and back and forth.
Tennis, no. In tennis, if you're playing someone that you kind of know you're slightly better than, you're not trying to hit all winning shots.
Yeah.
You're just trying to not mess up and make them hit it into the net or something, right?
Yeah.
That's what the Chiefs are the best at. The Eagles have a much better football roster. Like, they have better individual players. They have better players on their team. They all over, right?
Okay.
Outside of like the Kelsey Mahomes connection and Reed, the coach, that's where the Chiefs can excel. Is if the Eagles don't mess up, if they don't hit it into the net, so to speak, they're going to win the game. And I think I'm going to go with the Eagles this year. It's hard for me to say against the Chiefs. I'm not cheering for the Eagles, but that's if someone asked me who do you think's going to win, like, I kind of got to lean the Eagles.
Okay. James says the Eagles. I think the Chiefs.
Yep. Which is
of
probably
course, 87. I'm wearing my shirt.
You're wearing your Kelsey shirt now.
Kelsey.
It's probably a safer bet to say Chiefs because they just don't lose. But I don't know. There's that little gut feeling in me that's as long
fly, Eagles, fly.
As long as they don't hit it in the net.
Well, I could honestly really care less, but we'll also be at our show earlier, so we'll see.
Which I'm really excited.
Yeah,
for.
and then hopefully
we'll come watch the rest of the game with us.
Yes, even though again this comes out the day after, so whatever. We're talking into the past, but we love you guys so much, James. Anything else you want to tell the people?
Love you, weirdlings.
We love you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.